right, welcome back to another episode of Generational Debates. I'm Christopher Davis.
I am Regular Revolutionary.
Nice to meet you, man. So, pretty much, I found you through TikTok, and you had one of the coolest takes on the idea of the revolution. And basically, you were talking about how you made it sound like a good summer day of just like, this is the work that we need to put in, but we still need to enjoy being together in community. And right now, like, I feel like this whole year has been my focus on building community. So, my first on building community and trying to further the community. So, my first question is, what does the idea of community mean to you?
Great question. First I want to say thank you for having me on here. Y'all tap in, you know what I'm saying? Good content, good content. But yeah, I know exactly what video you're talking about. And that's one of my favorite videos of mine as well. Not to sound so fucking self-involved. But
No, it's fine, bro. Hey, no, no, it was. I was like, nah, you cook with this. So that's
okay. Smooth. But yeah, I feel like a lot of times so first I'll get to what does community mean to me. Community mean to me, or community means love to me. Community means peace. Community means joy. Community means expression. Um, and I think a lot of that is what I was attempting to describe in that video. You know what I'm saying? I think I kind of grew into this name in all honesty. You know,
yeah,
I really love alliteration. So I was just
yeah,
like, da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? I'm
yeah,
writing rhymes and shit in my head. But
yeah,
I knew it myself. I really wanted to be a voice on like certain topics and issues, and like you said, kind of share my perspective on things that I didn't feel like I was hearing from other people. um but within that, I feel like a lot of people are either on like one side or another. It's like either you're on the capitalist, I'm exploiting everybody,
mhm,
revolution is just black faces in high places, it's just me getting
yeah,
the money, you know what I'm saying, it's
exactly.
we, it's us
That's
winning.
it.
You're either on that end or you're on, I don't want to talk to nobody to get no bread. You know what I'm saying? If they trying to get a bag, they not for the people. If they trying to, you know what I'm saying, they spending money on this. Don't you know it's people that can't eat? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I feel like yes, it is a crazy. There's only it's everybody's on either one of those extremes, and that's kind of yeah. It's kind
Yeah, 1000%. And that's, I mean, something I try to refer to pretty often is like, the tenets of white supremacy. One of them is either or thinking.
of
And
mhm,
even in our spaces, we have either or thinking. It's either you're this or you're that. You're the one or two type of black people. And I'm just a regular nigga. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. At the end
yeah,
of the day, but I care about stuff, and I think community to me is inclusive for
mhm,
real. You know, on a real level. So yeah.
gotcha. Well, my next follow up question, since this is Valentine's Day is coming up, and you did mention like love being a big part of the community, what is the idea of Black love, and why is that so revolutionary?
Oh man, that's a great questions, man. Great questions.
Just like like I do this shit. So
Yeah. I think black love is almost too big to put a definition on. It's sustained us through the most incomprehensible of times. And that don't mean it's perfect. You know what I'm saying? People talk about, the 50-50 conversations, the pop the
yeah,
balloon shit. Lord knows.
it get crazy. It get crazy.
Lord knows it gets wicked out here. But amidst all of that, there is a collective understanding that I think we share and we possess that I don't feel like really any other demographic can like replicate. And
Mhm,
I'm studying to be a teacher right now. Something that I learned is, in the transatlantic slave trade, we were like so tightly packed together, in these ships for a 3-month journey. And I know the hotep, so going crazy, talking about,
mhm.
we won't on no ship. We was here, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, we was kings. I was like,
We was kings,
I was like,
but
hey man, we're from West Africa. Let's lock in, folks. Let's lock in.
right. But in that passage, I do genuinely believe we were so closely together that we have a connection that is beyond
Mm,
what other people can comprehend. I do believe we like spiritually became one in
mm,
a way that unfortunately was like brought together through pain and through so much suffering, but we've turned into the most beautiful art forms
mm,
imaginable. We've turned into the most beautiful athletes, performers, artists, linguists, teachers, and academics, so on and so forth. And I think Black love is so revolutionary because it adapts. It's not static. It's not something that's just, oh,
Oh,
this is what Black love. It moves the way that the world moves, and it changes. And I think it sustains us as the world continues to change and as we continue to go through crazy stuff. So
gotcha.
yeah.
Great answer. So my follow up to that, and this is one of the fun questions, is what are your favorite forms of black intimacy? Like it could just be like somebody making a play for you, getting your hair retwisted by somebody. Just what are your favorite? And this doesn't have to be romantic at all. Like it could just be like platonic things that you see in our community, or like your favorite forms of like intimacy that you feel is like specifically black.
Okay, great question. I think one of the first things that comes to my mind, because you said this is a sports podcast, no?
Yeah.
So I grew up. I'm a hooper till the day I die. You know what I'm
Gotcha. Who
saying?
your team? Who your team? Real quick.
We ain't gonna I'm a Magic fan. We
You know,
we on a
I'm a
look.
Lakers. Listen, I'm a Lakers fan, and
Oh
listen, let
Lord.
me explain. Let me explain. My
Oh
mom raised
Lord.
me as a Kobe fan, so I hated
Okay.
LeBron up until and then Kobe retired and 3-1 happened, so then I became a LeBron fan. But
Okay.
I like again Kobe's death, like that was one of the days I remember that was like heartbreaking for me because again, this is the athlete that just got me into sports in general. Like I became more of a football fan as I got older, but basketball, like again, like watching the Lakers on Christmas, like that's a yearly tradition that we have. So yeah, and my mom being from California, that's how she raised me. And again, she hates LeBron, and when she sees the show, she clowns me all the time. She's like, LeBron doesn't do nothing. He's trash. He's not a real Laker. So shout out to my mom on that one. But
Yeah.
it's gonna be a good team to support. But I'm also a
Hey,
Lakers fan for football, so it balances. It
we
balances.
can't call you a bandwagon. You grandfathered in, and you get enough pain
Grandfather,
from the Panthers. So
for
you know what
sure.
I'm saying. It balances, like you said.
For
But I bring up sports because I grew up hooping, and I really feel like basketball is a love language. No
sure.
funny. I mean, it sounds crazy, especially Lord, let niggas hear that. You know what I'm saying. They get to making false conclusions, but I do just really believe one of my favorite forms of intimacy. Did you say five, or did you like give a
Oh yeah,
number?
you
Or
could do like five actually. Yeah, that would be dope.
okay, smooth. Yeah, I think basketball is one of my favorite forms of intimacy. It's just like there's such a rhythm to the game, there's such a flow. Um, and I'm of the mindset that if you can hoop for real, like beyond talent, if you can dunk on people, then cool, whatever. But if you can read a screen, if you can like move as a defense and so on and so forth, like there's a level of intellect and flow with nature that I feel like is very intimate. Just the way like a pick and roll, a give and go, like that's
Yeah,
we're not talking, but we talking. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And there's intimacy in that. You know what I'm saying? Um, so that's one of them. And I would say another one is it feels wrong to just label it as this as like a whole because there's so much nuance to this like one subject. But music, I feel like it's one of my favorite
yeah,
forms of intimacy.
yeah.
Creation, just listening, rapping, singing, gospel, hymns, all of that. Just music as a whole is I think that's a language of the divine. You know what I'm saying? I think that's why we are all so musically inclined in one way or another. Everybody can't sing, but most people
No,
like
everybody
music.
got a rhythm, and like, listen, when you in a choir full of people, you gonna carry it too. Like, it's
Come on
going
now.
everybody gonna keep it together. Like,
Come
Blood
on now.
Melodies from Heaven come on at a concert. Everybody's
Mhm.
gonna know what part
Oh
to
yeah.
be in, what part to fit in. It's wonderful.
Oh
All right.
yeah. 1000%. Another form of intimacy that I really enjoy in a more I guess romantic sense is the intimacy of I think listening. I think and that doesn't just mean listen to somebody talk and rant. It can mean that, but I think it's just being attentive. You know what I'm saying? Like really sitting with somebody and seeing what they enjoy, what they appreciate, what they don't like, and being able to, I don't know, kind of fill in the spaces that the world takes from us. You know what I'm saying? So that's three. That's three or four.
Yeah, three. Yeah, you got two more. Two more.
Okay, two more. I think the next one I would say, um, I think there's an intimacy in fashion. In all honesty, I think everybody now is kind of on their like kind of streetwear type of vibe. Or we're moving around now. I think people are kind of filling out like
Yeah,
what they like
people
and what they
go
don't
into
like.
old fashioned. So there, I hang out with a bunch of like all creative people. So
Yeah.
I get to see like either the earthy girls or the people who dress like rock stars, and it's a cool medium. It's a cool mix
Oh
of
yeah.
friends that I have, and yeah, I just the one thing I feel like with all those things, but with music and fashion especially, it's like we were always dressed to the nines in whatever thing that we wore. It did
Yeah,
like our styles may change, but you always black people are always gonna stand out with their fits, regardless of like what style genre you may fit in.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think especially with music, and that's why like I also write poetry. So like open mic events are like the most like intimate and fun events that I go to and I like performed at because just seeing again the way people react to the poems, the fact that like you see all these people connected just off of an emotion that you shared and everybody like connects to it and resonates with it quickly. It's that's a big one for me. Another thing is just again we both have locks. I'm gonna ask how many years have you had yours? Yeah.
It's funny because I just went over this with somebody. It's 4 years, coming up on 4 years now.
Exactly. Yeah, so I'm at 5, and yeah,
Yeah,
it's been a great journey, great, just a little crazy, but it's every hairdresser that I've had, they've doubled as a therapist, they've doubled as an auntie, just or my mom like helped did my locks as well. Just like having that community of people around me, just like oh, like this is a person who I can talk to about my issues. Like I can also be in community with them. Like the one I had when I lived in New Jersey, I would help her kids with homework, and we would be watching like YouTube videos together, and then like I would just and it would just be a great time, just like
yeah,
catching up with her on like the month where we just had, and just just stuff like that. I mean, though when I lived in DC, like just again being around her family and becoming like feeling like I became indoctrinated, and like I have a funny story with all of my like hairdressers. It's like I always meet them at like a very pivotal part of my life where like it's like a life change. It's very weird
yeah,
because the first one it was a guy who started my locks. He scammed me, so I kind of had to leave there. But when I lived in Jersey, like I had just like taken a gap year of school. I didn't even know like what was gonna happen with me going back to school, what was gonna happen with all that. So I was on my gap year, and I needed my retwist for Christmas photos, right?
yeah,
So my mom was like, oh, you got to get your hair done. You got to get your hair done. So I see, and I'm working at this grocery store at the time. And I see this lady and her son with locks, her like 5-year-old son with locks at the time. I'm like, hey, do you do hair? She's like, yeah, for sure. And she became my loctician for about a year, and that was really great. And then the next time was when I was still at Howard up in DC, and I was just trying to again, you know, figure out life. My I had a great hairdresser before, but like the times it just took a little too long for me to
yeah.
like get over to her. So I was like, dang, I gotta find somebody local. So I was working at a liquor store at the time, and she came in, and I was like, hey, I see your daughter has locks. Do you do hair? And
All
then
right,
boom, loctician for a year.
there you
So
go.
yeah, back to North Carolina, and now that the lady who does my sister's boyfriend's hair, yeah, that's my loctician. So
That's
I'm
smooth.
yeah, I definitely like I always will find people like in like a pivot, like the key moments where I need them in my life, and especially like with a journey like locks, it's like because I know a bunch of people are like, oh, I don't want everybody in my hair with all the energies and stuff, and I'm like, well, understandable. Everybody's been good people, so I definitely have enjoyed that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's another one of my favorite forms of intimacy. Just cooking for one another, like
Oh
that's
yeah,
the thing.
for sure.
Um, yeah, the one thing that my family loves to do, we love to cook. My mom became vegan. She still be hitting the vegan recipes. Be hitting like she made these stuffed peppers with like walnut meat, and I was like, I don't even know how we made this taste like taco meat, but you're
Right.
a wizard. So it's like stuff like that where it comes like just cooking in general. Like that's like one of my favorite ways to express love. Making somebody a plate. Having people come over. Like this summer was my first time really like being on the grill and cooking for people. I was
Yeah.
nah, wow, this is dope. So that's another one of my favorite forms of intimacy. What's my fifth one? Um, I would just say dancing as
Oh
well.
yeah,
Like,
for
just
sure.
yeah, because I mean, last night, like after the Super Bowl show that I had for Pick'em Pros, the other podcast I worked on, like I mean, the music was live, everybody was turning up, having a good time. Just, I was hyping everybody up. Yeah, that was a great night. So
Absolutely.
I think that those are my forms of intimacy. And yeah, let me ask you my next question. Hold on. So again, since we're still on the topic of music, how has music impacted you and your perspective on justice.
And my perspective on justice.
Mm,
Um, I think it was probably like I think music is the most like subliminal type of like activism that there really is. You know what I'm saying? I think it's songs I listen to now. I'm like, I didn't even know that's what they were saying back in
yeah,
the day. You know what I mean? Um, and I think also you can like I think the as much as like music influences the culture, it's also like I feel like once you change, you can hear the same song that you listen to a million times
yeah,
completely differently. You know?
mhm,
Um, and I think for myself, like with some of my favorite artists, going back to like people that my pops used to listen to, like Erica Badu, going back to like, even like my pops is like real southern country with it. So
yeah,
we listen to a lot of funk, you know what I'm saying? A
yeah.
lot of Parliament Funkadelic, a lot of George Clinton, all them people. And I think
Earth, Wind, and
in that,
Fire. Yeah, Isley.
yeah,
Yes, sir.
absolutely, all of that. So on that type of wave, it was like a celebration of myself that I didn't see in my community. I'm from a very like white evangelical Christian town.
Okay.
And I think music and books were two of the things that really like saved my life or saved my culture within me that sustained me in a space that didn't possess anything that I was hearing about in these songs, but the songs was enough to let me know like
Mm,
it's something here that I resonate with, that even though I don't see it around me, it doesn't change the fact that I know that this is a part of me. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
all right. The next question was, how has the first few months of this crazy year impacted you? Because I'm not gonna lie, like the weird thing is like I'm actually starting to like have a bunch of great stuff happen to me. And then
Hmm.
I also feel like I'm watching the world burn at the same damn time. And it's
Absolutely.
like it's like a weird like it's I think I don't know if it's cognitive dissonance, but it feels like you're like, dang, like life's going pretty good right now. And then you look outside and you're like, oh, look at grocery prices.
Yeah.
Look at the planes falling out the sky. Look at all this crazy stuff. Like look at innocent families getting deported, like all this stuff. Like
Hmm.
I don't know. Like I feel like for me, especially like how I feel on on like my perspective in the world currently is like I want to tend to the community that I have and make sure I can grow it as much as I can and make sure that my neck of the woods is taken care of because
Hmm.
my biggest goal honestly is to fund music therapy programs in schools for black kids, right?
Oh, that's amazing.
I
Yeah.
want I basically because like I have a bunch of music therapist friends at Howard. I'm like, hey, when y'all get your jobs in the future, please hit me up so that we could do this for real. Because
Yeah.
I actually wanted HBCU students to basically in the North Carolina and DMV area to be have that be their internship and have my friends they would have graduated at the time be like the coordinators for this like
Yeah.
in schools. And that has always been important to me because like when I was going through all my mental health stuff, music therapy really helped me, and I didn't know that was actually a resource available for me.
Yeah.
And the one thing I was like, hey, like we got to do have different constraints because sometimes with the therapists are like, oh, we can only play like this type of music. I'm like, nah, I need to listen to Scissor or Frank Ocean so I can really
Right.
process how the hell I'm feeling.
Right.
So I feel like seeing like that, I think like having and again like my music therapist she was a white lady but I was like dang imagine having a black person who knows like what songs and how to like and one like educating the kids through music and then giving them the tools like I wanted it to be for like fifth through eighth graders so that they can finally have the tools like of when they get to high school that they can like develop and like move differently in the world
Yeah.
so because I feel like that was the age where like I kind of saw myself like, oh yeah, like I'm not like all together mentally. I don't know how to describe it or process it well. And in high school, like it was fine, but it could have been better if I had like addressed it like when I was like at that age. So
Hmm.
that's definitely like a big goal of mine. But yeah, but anyway, sorry, got on a tangent. But
No, you
how
good.
is but yeah, how has the first few months of this year, this crazy ass presidency, this fascist regime, how has it how you doing, man? That's just a quick check in.
I mean, to be honest, shit, I can't call it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm doing all right though, for real. I have experienced like I'm starting therapy now. It's huge.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I just went to like my first couple sessions last week, matter of fact. And I think over this specifically this new part of this year in this regime, I feel very disconnected from a lot of the things that are taking place. Like I'm witnessing it, but it's like I'm watching it like through the window. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Because um I'm not like I don't even want to say I'm not directly impacted, but nothing has like stripped me of my clothes, stripped me of my groceries. It's like, and I've talked about this a bit on my TikTok, but just we're so over flooded with trauma every day.
mhm,
The numbness is like overwhelming. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, guess I'll fire up some YouTube, play a
yeah.
game. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, and
Go watch the Super Bowl. Like we just go, we just go root for the Chiefs and the Eagles.
right,
After it's crazy. It's crazy.
right, and I'm waiting on the halftime show and all that. But I think
Oh, for sure.
amidst all of those things, it's like, how long do we continue to allow like our comforts to disconnect us from like what's taking place? Because we're gonna, oh, this next thing is coming up and this next thing is coming up ourselves into, well, damn, I don't got no house now. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Or damn, I don't got no, oh, my neighbor's gone. You know what I'm saying? Or like, oh, I literally can't afford groceries now. And I think um this first part of the year, I am really being intentional about what I give my energy to, because you only got so much time in the day. You only got so many things you can give your all to. So I'm like, with school, I'm trying to finish out right now, but I can only give so much energy to like these classes, knowing that it's other things I need to be feeding, like my content. Like, I'm super appreciative that you like reached out to me and that we were able to like schedule this. But amidst all of that, like, I need to be educating my community right now. I need to be making sure that I'm fulfilled, emotionally, spiritually, to be able to do that work, because that's like imperative. It's not just something I want to do. It's like we're in a space and time where I have to do it.
100%.
So I think witnessing all of these things, it's been really important for me to pour into the things that I need to, and put some other things on the back burner. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. And let's see. This is a question just off the top of my head. When it comes to rap artists and the idea of rap music, I feel like this would be a great tangent to talk to you about. I was talking to one of my friends about this, but the commodification of pimp language in rap music has gotten way worse over the years.
Yeah.
And I think that again, Jay started it with the whole like with rap becoming more capitalistic instead of being protest music. Regardless of how great you feel Jay Z is, again one of the greatest rappers of all time. I'm not denying his skill, but you can notice a tangible shift in rap becoming more materialistic when Puff, Biggie, and Jay were like really doing their thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like again seeing Kendrick, it's like he's bringing back to me like he's always been conscious, but like bringing back the sound, his sound, and and I think Kendrick and the girls in rap are also doing this, making the sounds more regional and less focused on oh I'm getting rich, oh I'm doing all this because like there's times for that, there's times where you want to feel like about, there's times you want to feel like that, but actively like putting people on to like your sound, your style, and your thing instead of trying to sound like everybody else, that's key to me. But the one thing that I hated was like the language in some of our rap songs because I'm like, okay, like with songs like from Real Boston Richie, where I'm like, okay, he's talking about tricking, but I'm also like, he cradle robber. Like we're not gonna discuss that. I
Right.
just think that
Right.
like when it comes to like seeing some of the artists like get all this acclaim and all this like clout, it's but what really is the message? Because again, like this is supposed to be protest music. This is rhythm and poetry. This wasn't just supposed to be like, oh, I'm gonna just do this because it's cool and I'm gonna get rich and be fly. And shit. Like that's not what this was meant to be. I feel
Yeah.
like again, like the rap beef, regardless of how you feel about like who won, who lost, we obviously know who won. But like I think that regardless of all of that, what was key to see was that we were on the forefront and the idea of like no like my community is what matters, that's the key. And I think that we got to move past some of the language that we use in rap music and everybody trying to sound like Atlanta. That's another thing I hate. I
Hey, Kendrick talked
listen,
about it. Kendrick talked about
I
it.
just, again I understand that Atlanta music was popping, but everybody trying to sound like Young Thug is killing me right now, like all
Yeah.
together. Every and again like I have the younger kid who I work on with the podcast loves all the younger Atlanta artists. So I'm like, hey, they cool, but they all sound like Thug. They all listen to any Young Thug
Right.
album. He already been there, done that, and did it better. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like for me, with all my thoughts on rap, it's just again like how has rap music impacted you? Basically, what boiling down the question, how's rap music impacted you, and especially like this year, and also like what are some more changes you want to see in that genre?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I love talking about hip hop. I love talking about rap. I think one thing I remember an artist saying, I forget um who it was or what song it was, but they said, rap is gonna be or hip hop is gonna go as the people go. You know what I'm
Mhm,
saying? You look at yourself, like that's how hip hop's gonna be. So I think on one end it's like, yeah, I think a lot of people, point the finger at the artists, but it's simultaneously it's like it's cyclical. Like they're
mhm,
feeding what is being fed to them in the same type of way. You know what I'm saying? But I think to your point about being a bit more intentional in our language and what we're trying to get at, because I think I fail to believe for a lot of these artists. Like I feel like we sat down like real nigga just talking. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Like I fail to believe they really on some just like fuck whoever, fuck what I'm talking, fuck what they hearing. Like I don't care what how this affecting the community. Like I'm just trying to get a bag. It's gonna be some people that's like that, but I really don't believe like
I don't believe
this.
that's
The
everybody, but I think there's like the percentage has gone up considerably, like more
Yeah,
in the past couple years.
for sure. I know a lot of these people though at the same time, like they go back and take care of their block though.
Mhm.
Everybody on their little team, they got changed. Blinging, like the Empire State Building or whatever the hell
Yep,
it is. But I
yep,
think
yep.
on that same type of time, it's just educating this group of very impactful, influential young black men to be able to like marry they art with some other stuff. Like I think going back to the video that you mentioned of like, one of my takes being like, oh, the revolution should be this and should be that. It shouldn't just be, us sitting in the classroom studying all day. I
Mhm.
think with that, if we bring it to these artists and it's like, hey, I ain't saying stop rapping about shit that's like fun, that's having a good time. But I am saying at the same time, make sure that, what I'm saying, we're not doing harm in that same type of way and explaining how this language is doing that and explaining that, all that type of shit. And I think going forward, what I would like to see a bit more of, yeah, and I think I am seeing it more. Like they're as much as there are artists like Real Boston Richie and so on and so forth, like just doing wild shit. Um, at the same time, I don't know if you know who La Russell is out of Vallejo,
Oh yeah,
California.
no, he's tough. He's tough. That's
So
he's become one of my favorite artists. And again, like seeing everything he does with his community, all the people that he's put on, just his hustle and his drive. Like I literally like following him is kind of like made me be like, okay, like you see like the gems that he drops every day on Instagram. And I'm like, all right, I might hate going to work today, but there, we gotta hustle. And I feel like when you are creative and it feels like when you're creative and you have a job where you got to pay the bills. Like I was talking to my sister about this on my drive to work. It was like it feels like you're Superman, and then you got to go back to being like Clark Kent. Like you
yeah,
feel like you're doing all this great stuff. You're like people are seeing you and it's visible, but then you got to go back and be the regular person and just get through the day to day. And I just
hmm,
think that like for me, especially in the space of journalism, I I really found like my calling. Like this is what I want to do. I want to tell
yeah,
our stories. I want to be surrounded by black people. I want to educate us. And I'm also a poet, so I also want to, other than music therapy stuff, I want to bring that poetry back because
yeah,
that's really that was my real introduction into like poetry and the way I want to do it. And by what by the grace of God, with whatever can happen, I really want to just have a label be like, hey, we have these great artists that would love to perform on your show. And then I also want to bring up people from the DMV area because that's really where I got like that was my like training ground for poetry where I met all these dope artists and they really inspired like my pen, like how to work a crowd,
hmm,
how to just like have that momentum. And it's just like that's the most beautiful thing to me. And I feel like for me, especially like with rap, like what people say like, oh, rap saved me, but like rap is really like my lifeblood. Like again, my mom being from the West Coast, like Tupac is literally like was my favorite artist, and literally until I
yeah,
became a Kendrick fan. But Tupac still forever has been like the artist that's inspired me. And then like as I got older and I lived when I went to school in Georgia, I was just listening to music from the South. So Andre, Wayne, all of them were like the biggest inspirations of my pen. So I feel like rap. I can't boil it down to what I feel like. Vince Staples said it best, where it's like black people don't grow up and just automatically be like, oh yeah, like this is when I fell in love with rap. It was always around you. It's just
yeah,
like when your ears perked up and you were finally like, oh, this really feels like it's for me. And weirdly, and the last participant of the beef, and I'm gonna get off the music stuff in a second, but yeah, J. Cole, I'm going to the last Dreamville Fest because gotta.
Got to. I'm gonna see you there. I'm going.
Oh,
I had
yes,
to go.
sir. Hell yeah.
Had to
Hell
go.
yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But yeah, man, I had to that like when I talk about like the Kendrick and Drake of it all, it's like yes, Drake was the soundtrack for me through high school. Yes, Kendrick like has a profound impact. And like I've always like I feel like I can never write like him, and I write pretty fire stuff, and I was like, yeah, it's not gonna be as good as Kendrick's, and it's fine.
Pulitzer Prize.
Yeah, Pulitzer
Pulitzer
Prize.
Prize.
Like,
It's a
what you gonna
difference.
do? What you gonna
It's a
do?
difference.
But with Cole, like growing up, hearing Crooked Smile, hearing Power Trip on the radio, hearing Workout on the radio in North Carolina, it was like, oh my gosh, we have a guy. And
What a
it's
time
like,
to be alive. What a
yeah.
time.
And like out again, like through middle school and like high school, just seeing Cole do his thing, I was like, bro, like this is like he's from my state. Like I got somebody who I can root for the whole time. And then Revenge of the Dreamers dropped, the feature run happened. I was like, yep, I'm gonna say he's the greatest rapper alive. And then of course,
Yeah.
Kendrick, went
You
scorched earth
know.
this year.
You
So
know.
hey, listen, I need the fall off to be amazing. I just
Hey, I think
that's
it's
all.
coming. It's coming with it.
Yeah, that's all I'm really looking forward to. But with Cole, like I really feel like it's never, regardless of how this beef went, it was never gonna take it how I felt about J. Cole because like musically, like that's what got me into like this age of hip hop, like this
Yeah.
genre of this version of hip hop. Like again, like I remember listening to Born Center and listening to Forest Hills Drive, and I was just like, bro, like this is some of the best music I've ever heard. And I listen, people gave me with the his music's boring, his music's this, his that, but it's like when you have like the state connection and the person, like like you mean so much to me because of like you soundtracked me through like some really tough times in my life. Like I feel like that's a lasting power that an artist has.
Yeah.
And I feel like even as like a revolutionary, like I really want to be known for what I did for other people. Like for me, I always feel like, hey, I'm little on me, like I'm just doing my thing. But like sometimes I talk my shit, but other times I'm just like, you know what, I'm just doing me. But
Yeah.
I feel like to really feel like you're gonna last, it's gonna be the people that you impacted, the lives that you changed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what was my last question gonna be? Because we're almost at time. Um, how have Black women impacted your perspective and your ideas on revolution and
Oh,
revolution?
hey,
Yeah.
great end. Great end. You went to Howard?
Huh?
You went to
Oh yeah.
Howard?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was
I
there
could
for
tell. Go
3 years.
ahead.
I'm finishing my degree down here. The financial aid got me, but
I get it.
I'm still HU proud though. Ain't
Go
you?
ahead. Pop your shit. I already know. I can feel it. I can feel it through the screen. Great last question. But I didn't long story, I didn't really grow up in a single parent household, but in every way,
Mm,
but logistically I did. And my mother specifically, and I just come from a family of like Black women that I would say are untraditional in the sense that like they're high achieving.
yeah,
They cultivated me in a way that I don't think I could have found in any major city. I'm not from a big space, but I'm from people with big dreams. You know what I'm saying? I'm
yeah,
from a community of people that, I can feel everything, all my West African heritage, like because of these Black women who instilled in me a certain level of critical thought, a certain level of, um, not being easily satisfied, that allowed me to go into this world and to walk with my head high. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? Walk around knowing who I come from, knowing even though if I don't know the tribe that I'm from, like I know who I come from though. You know what I'm saying?
yes, sir.
And I think with that, Black women, not just my mother, but my lady now, my girlfriend, and all my peers around me, they just provide me with, I would say, not just motivation, but like a pride in what
Mm.
it means to be Black, and Black women have given me that pride. So yeah.
Yeah, and then for me especially, like again, my mom, all time hustler. Like again, got 4 degrees. She's
Yeah,
yeah. Listen, that's why she's like, "Hey, you go get this one." I'm like,
yeah, for
"Yeah,
sure.
I got it." But yeah, she's again. I mean, shoot, she went to law school when me and my sister were like from fourth grade to sixth grade. I don't know how she did it, but she did it. Um, you know, again, Black Studies major, grew up in California, so like I was always hip to that, and
Yeah,
I was again like the music that surrounded me. Like I grew up listening to neo soul. Like my mom would always be playing like Sade, Erica, and Jill Scott, like
yeah,
living room. So
real
I
talk.
always that's always where I was like I always felt like grounded in. And yeah, she's the like again, like when you're telling your mom like, hey, like I want to like write and talk to people for money, it's like, okay, how are you doing this? How are you
Right,
gonna do this?
right.
And it's like because again, like I originally like wanted to be a psychologist because again, like my love for like mental health, like wanting to help the black community.
Hmm.
But I still like when I finish all this stuff, I still want to go back to school and get my degree in that. But I do think that like with her especially like how she motivated me and just even like seeing how hard my sister goes, how hard all my friends go. Like I literally like being at Howard, like I witnessed the most creative, talented, hardworking women ever. Like I and it's just like it's so it's so crazy. Like every single time I'm like, bro, like, do y'all know that y'all are like that? Like I I just yeah, black women have definitely changed my life for the better, and I've always been there to constantly just the constant support and like just when I've been down, when I've doubted myself. Like I've had my aunts, I've had my grandmother, I've had all these people around me, just always making sure I'm good. So yeah, that's a great thing to leave off with. But yeah, plug all your stuff real quick so where people can find you, where people can let's tap into your podcast as well, my man, because you're doing great work. So hey,
Appreciate you, appreciate you. Hey, real recognize real, man. But hey,
mm,
y'all can find me regular revolutionary everywhere. YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Haven't been posting on TikTok really, after the whole like fake ban and everything. But feel free to tap in with me on any of those platforms. More content coming soon. And shout out to you. Thank you for having me on.
gotcha. And this has been a great episode of Generational Debates. All right, see y'all.
Peace.